of life. Let us all unite and sing together to uphold the bond that frames our destiny. So let us dedicate ourselves to fight together for lasting peace and justice on earth. Oh, sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky. So let us make Africa the tree of life.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Mubari Tendit Ayimi, and today I'll be introducing the panelists for the 10 to 13 age division who'll be discussing on poverty. But before that, may we please have Dr. Tilly. You're muted.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes, you are.
Good day, everybody. I am Dr. Biola Thompson Tiligiado, a community health physician from Nigeria with over 40 years of experience in people-centered community and international development work. I have a diverse range of expertise and a strong passion for child rights, international health policy, advocacy, programming, and management. I wish to start by wishing you all a happy Children's Day and to implore you to spare a minute of reflection on the 16th of June for all those who, as a result of Soweto, could not live to be parents and grandparents. May their souls rest in perfect peace. In this session, as I had done many instances on child-centered development work, I am proud to say that this session has decided to talk on poverty. And with the privileges I have had of speaking at numerous international fora, including government establishments, the AU, the United Nations, I wish to assure you that we are all going to have a good time. Because I am honored to be speaking with you today about the subject of poverty, as it affects many people around the world, and specifically in our African communities. Poverty is something that we hear about often, but it's important to understand what it means and how it can impact people's lives. It means not having enough to meet basic needs like food, shelter, and health care. It's a condition that affects millions of people around the world, and particularly also on our continent of Africa. It means that people around the world, including many children just like you, are living sometimes below poverty line. Because poverty can make it difficult to have access to education, job opportunities, and a decent standard of living. Unfortunately, as I said, it disproportionately affects people in African communities. Despite the many positive aspects of our culture and heritage, which we have things like the extended family system in the African society, we still face many challenges and inequalities that can contribute to poverty. It's important, however, to remember that poverty is not a reflection of a person's worth or potential. You all have incredible talents and strengths that can help you overcome any obstacles you may face. One of the best ways to combat poverty is through education. By working hard in school and pursuing opportunities to learn and grow, you can develop the skills and knowledge needed to succeed in life. It's also important to surround yourself with positive role models who can inspire you to reach your full potential. But education alone is not enough. We must also work together to address the root causes of poverty, such as lack of access to healthcare, clean water, the corruption that goes on in many of our establishments. As young people, you can make a difference in your communities by volunteering your time and resources to help those in need. Whether it's organizing a food drive, fundraising for a local charity, or advocating for policies that support families and children living in poverty, you can be a part of the solution. So my dear future leaders that I am having the privilege of meeting in your nascent years, I encourage you to take action and make a difference in the fight against poverty. Remember that you have the power to make a positive impact in your community and the world. Let's go out and work together to create a future where everyone has the opportunity to thrive and succeed. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Telly. I'm now going to have a quick introduction. My name is Taimu. I'm 13 years old and I'm from Zimbabwe, but I live in Botswana. I'm in the 9th grade at Lahai Academy, and today I'll be introducing the 10 to 13 panelists. We'll be discussing on poverty in Africa. What is poverty? Poverty is the state of not having enough money to meet basic needs, including shelter, clothing, or food. Without further ado, let us begin. May we please start off with Genevieve. Okay, also waiting for Genevieve, may we please have Maya? Okay, also waiting for Genevieve and Maya, may we please have Motsiba?
Hello everyone, my name is Motsiba. I'm 12 years old. I school at Westwood and I'm 12 years old. Today I'll be talking to you about poverty, the first and the most important SDG set by the United Nations. First off, I would like everyone to imagine a world without poverty. Now that you imagined, let me tell you how I see it. It's a world where everyone has access to resources like food, water, and shelter. Unfortunately, the world is struggling to fight poverty, which is described by UN as not having enough money to meet basic needs, including food, clothing, and shelter. However, the World Bank says poverty is much more than not just having enough money. It is about hunger and freedom.
Mutsiba, I think you're muted. Okay, we're also waiting for Mutsiba to rejoin. May we please have Genevieve?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Genevieve Akidima. I'm from Enric High School, located at 24 Bankole Street, Pedro, Lagos. I am 13 years old. I'm going to be talking on the topic eradicating poverty via the United Nations Sustainable Goals with the African Union Agenda 2063. Do I go on?
Yes.
Okay. Now, first of all, what is poverty? Poverty is the state of being extremely poor or lacking the financial resources to meet basic human needs such as food, shelter, healthcare, clothing, education, etc. It is this complex and multidimensional issue that affects individuals, families, communities worldwide. Poverty manifests itself in various forms, including absolute poverty and relative poverty. Absolute poverty refers to the inability to afford basic necessities of life, while relative poverty, on the other hand, is defined in relation with the general standard of living in a particular society or country. Individuals who experience this level of poverty tend to have fewer opportunities and resources to meet compared to the average population. Several factors contribute to the prevalence of poverty in global citizens, affecting various aspects of their lives. One, poverty brings about limited access to different things such as education. Two, poverty affects an individual's health condition. Three, poverty limits one to certain things individuals are usually privileged with. And the established to ensure these factors are annihilated and suitable place for everyone. Established around to make parties as ends with everyone. What are put in place. This will be a better. God bless.
Okay, thank you, Genevieve, for your presentation. I really enjoyed how you dissected poverty and you explained it completely to us.
Thank you.
Next, may we please have Toya?
Thank you. My name is Amissah-Aidoo. I'm from Ghana. I'm 13 years old, and I attend Ghana Christian International High School. My hobbies are various sports, reading, and playing instruments such as piano and drums. Today, I'll be speaking on poverty. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, poverty is the state of one who lacks a usual or socially acceptable amount of money or material possessions. Factors of poverty sorry. Factors of poverty are lack of access to clean water and nutritious food, lack of access to basic health care, conflict and instability, and most importantly, lack of education. Poverty is a problem I believe cannot be completely eradicated, but can be managed and dealt with using proper care and proper allocation of resources by the government and other leading officials. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula, for your presentation. And thank you for explaining poverty completely to us and showing us that it can't completely be eradicated, but there's a way to make it less. Okay. Next, may we please have Anissa?
Hello. Hello, my name's Anissa Lisanda and I am 11 years old and I go to a homeschool center in Gaborone called Camp Botswana STEM Academy. And today I'll be talking about poverty. So what is poverty? Poverty is a condition in which someone lacks financial resources and essentials to live a certain standard of life. Poverty has a diverse social, economic, and political cause and effect. When evaluating poverty in economics or statistics, there are two main types of poverty. The first one is absolute poverty. This compares income against the amount needed to meet personal needs such as food, clothing, shelter, drinking water, health, education, and information. This doesn't always depend on your income, but access to service. Next is relative poverty. This measures a person who cannot meet a minimum level of living standards comparing to other people in the same time and place. Relevant poverty differs to country to another or from one society to another. But there's also one more called secondary poverty. This refers to those who can earn enough income to be improvised, but they spend their money on unnecessary things such as alcoholic beverages. Thank you.
Thank you, Anissa, for your presentation. And thank you for showing us the different types of poverty, the absolute, the relative, and the secondary. Really enjoyed your presentation. Next, may we please have Masimba?
Hello, my name is Masimba-Aidoo. I come from Zimbabwe. I'm 10 years old. I live in Botswana and I go to the Learning Center School in Block 6. My topic today will be poverty. What is poverty? Poverty is a state or condition in which a person or community lacks the financial resources and essentials for a minimum standard of living. Causes of poverty. Some causes of poverty would be mismanagement of resources by the government, corruption in the government, bad leadership, and lack of transparency in wealth distribution. Some of the effects of poverty are poor educational facilities, which means that in the villages they do not have very good education, and in some urban parts of Africa. Poor healthcare facilities, poor infrastructure, and lack of employment opportunities. When you have poor infrastructure, you will not be able to employ. Solutions to poverty. Investing in invest in educating and empowering the youth, encourage intertrade, which means intertrade is trading valuables within Africa, stop corruption, and good management of resources. As my final say, poverty can be a state of mind. Us as children should be creative and innovative to eliminate poverty. We should be free from a poverty and dependency mindset. Thank you.
Thank you, Masimba, for your presentation. I liked your points where you showed the causes of poverty and also the effects of poverty. Next, may we please have Mutsiba again.
Hello everyone, my name is Mutsiba. I'm 12 years old. I school at Westwood, and I'm here today to talk to you about poverty, the first and the most important SDG set by the United Nations. First off, I would like everyone to imagine the world without poverty. Now that you have imagined, let me tell you how I see it. It is a world where everyone has access to resources like food, shelter, and water. It looks clean, there is no war and no street kids, and there's free quality education. Unfortunately, the world is struggling to fight poverty, which is described by UN as not having enough money to meet your basic needs, including food, shelter, and water. However, the World Bank says poverty is much more than not just having enough money. It is about hunger and freedom. According to UN.org, nearly half of the world's population currently lives in poverty, defined as income of less than $2 per day. Of those living in poverty, defined as income of less than $2 a day, over 800 million live in extreme poverty, surviving on less than $1.25 a day. Bringing back the concept home, the statistics show that 1 in 3 Africans live below the global poverty line. Why is it important to address poverty? It is important to address poverty because the effects of poverty revolve, meaning poverty causes hunger, hunger causes stress and disease, disease causes hopelessness and death. Again, let's look at it this way. Poverty causes anxiety and frustration. Anxiety can cause conflict that can lead to war. Where poverty thrives, there is crime, lack of education, poor health services, and corruption. Now that we have learned about the definition of poverty and the effects of it, let us talk about how we can bring about the solutions. Nelson Mandela once said, "Overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity, it is an act of justice." This means we all have an obligation to overcome this monster and make it history. The key to destroying the effects of poverty is, first of all, to attack the causes. As mentioned earlier, one of the causes of poverty is lack of cash. So the solution to this would be more donations distributing cash to help the poor get out of poverty. Sometimes a small startup grant as little as $100 is all it takes to help a family living below poverty line to start a business. The second solution would be investment in poverty. According to UNESCO, if all students in low-income countries had just the basic reading and writing skills, an estimate of 171 million people could escape extreme poverty. And if all adults completed secondary education, we would cut the global poverty rate by more than half. And the numbers get better as more education is acquired. But most importantly, each and every one of us has a as a responsibility to bring change in their own communities. I will share with you a true story. While my mom was working in Lesotho, she had a colleague from Australia named Belinda. Being new to the country, Belinda realized that there were many street kids and most of them were boys. They were obviously very poor, eating from the bins and sometimes stealing from the passerbys. She immediately spotted two boys and took them into her own home, which was to many a grave danger. Her commitment to helping these boys overcame the dangers and the risks associated with it. She took them to the best school in the country, clothed them, and treated them as her own. Currently, one of the boys is studying in Australia, and surely Belinda has contributed in breaking the intergenerational poverty in the two boys' families. So I challenge you all to do small deeds of kindness to help your poor neighbor, your poor classmate, or a street kid. This way we'll attain the global poverty, we'll attain the global goal of no poverty by 2023 or earlier. Thank you.
Thank you, Matiba, for your presentation. I enjoyed how you shared your point of view and also a true story your mother has experienced. Next, may we please have Haruna?
Good day, everyone. My name is Haruna Musa, representative of Engre School, Lagos, Nigeria. I sincerely thank the African Views Organization for creating this platform for me to talk on eradicating poverty through the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and African Union Agenda 2063. Before I discuss the topic, what is poverty? Poverty can be defined as a living condition whereby a person stays in poor housing, live without basic services such as water, toilets, etc., and grow up without education. This is simply not just a lack of resources, but a shocking human rights scandal. The government is simply unwilling to do anything about it. Note, poverty isn't solely measured by income and economical indicators, but includes broader dimensions of deprivation such as health, standard of living, education. Poverty brings about health issues due to lack of access to quality health services. Poverty leads to hunger and malnutrition as majorly Sub-Saharan Africa, Asia, and other parts of the world. Poverty brings about educational disparities, gender discrimination, unemployment, environmental degradation, economical exclusion, social exclusion, and inequality, and several other ills. The United Nations at its Millennium Conference has come up with some solutions aimed at ending poverty and along with some goals. Goal number 1, no poverty. These strategies are aimed at ending poverty worldwide, and they include A, implementation of social protection systems that provide shelter, food, health services, and income to the less privileged. Another strategy is to improve the resilience and vulnerability of people living in poverty to environmental, economical, social, environmental shocks. Goal number 2, no hunger. This can be A, expanding access to nutritious food, to B, improving rural infrastructure and expanding and making our food distribution system better. C, another way is to address the root cause of hunger, which is conflict, as majorly experienced in Sudan, where thousands of innocent children are plunged into untold hunger and poverty. Goal number 3, quality education. These strategies are aimed at providing quality primary, secondary, and tertiary education to every person. Closely following this improves one's skill training and vocabulary training. Goal number 4, inclusive economic growth, and decent job opportunities. These are aimed at destroying unemployment by creating more job opportunities. Goal number 5, inequality. Inequality can be reduced by A, social inclusion, B, proper taxation to redistribute money that was hardly earned by the people. To round this off, poverty is not a simple quest to end. It is a complex task, and hence it needs collaboration from the government, private sector, civil sector to closely monitor the progress and persistence of poverty. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Haruna, for your presentation. I really like the points where you shared the strategies to improve poverty and what poverty leads to. Next, may we please have Alana.
Hello everyone. My name is Alana Skala Shikambani. I am 10 years old and I am in grade 5 at Austin Primary School. I am from South Africa. I stay with my parents and my baby sister. My father is a Zimbabwean, my mom is a South African. When I grow up, I want to be a doctor because I want to help sick people. So today I am here to talk about poverty. Poverty is about not having enough money to meet basic needs, including food, clothing, and shelter. Rising living costs, low pay, and lack of work are the causes of poverty. To reduce poverty, we need to 1, create jobs, 2, donate funds and time, 3, create education and water, 4, welfare program. Thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you, Alana, for your presentation on poverty. Next, may we please have Lois.
Hello everyone, my name is Lois and I'm from Ghana. I attend Ghana Christian International High School. I'll be talking on the topic of poverty. So firstly, what's poverty? So poverty is like a general statement used to describe if a person or a group of people lack the basic resources to live. And according to the World Bank, if a human being lacks at least two US dollars and 15 cents a day to survive, he or she is under the poverty line. So some causes of poverty are growth in population. So basically, in a lot of countries, population is rapidly growing, and success and development can't keep up with the pace of which the number of people in each country and each continent are increasing. So growth of population in each country is one of the causes of poverty, because more and more people are living on the streets and are getting involved in poverty. Okay, another cause is war and crisis in each country and each continent, because in sub-Saharan African countries, for example, in the year 2013, there were about 13 wars, and 11 of them were all from sub-Saharan African countries. But then these sub-Saharan African countries are the same countries suffering today from poverty. A lot of them are malnourished due to poverty. So they don't have the resources to live. So basically, they are becoming malnourished. A lot of them are dying. Yet, in those same countries, population is rapidly increasing. They are becoming a lot. Their numbers are rapidly increasing. So that means there will be more people living on the streets and more people who are in poverty, who are living in poverty right now. Illnesses are another cause of poverty. But then some of you may be asking yourselves, why illnesses? Can't illnesses be treated? The thing is, in a lot of countries, they have the resources, but then unless the illness becomes quite serious and it spreads so horribly that multiple people are dying, most of the times government doesn't provide resources for these illnesses to be cured. So illnesses is another cause of poverty. And some of the effects of poverty are underpopulation in a lot of countries. So our populations will rapidly decrease. The fact that our populations may be increasing rapidly doesn't mean that even if you are not able to provide for them, they should die, that most of them should suffer horrible deaths. Um, Another effect. So another effect of poverty in most countries, they lose a lot of their resources because a country like Ghana, so we are living in poverty and then we are in debt to a lot of countries. So we end up giving our natural resources to them and then they process it and then sell it to us at much higher prices. That is just very unjust trade services, if you ask me. So another effect of poverty is that we lose our natural resources, and then we have to buy them back at really high prices, and then it puts us in a very uncomfortable financial state. So ways we can put poverty aside, as I think someone said that we can't totally put aside poverty, but then we can learn how to manage it. So one way we can learn how to manage poverty is equality. So we should provide equal opportunities for everyone. If they're on the streets, you don't know the amount of their skills they have that may be of use to you, that may be of use to your country, your continent, and basically the entire world. Some people have very useful skills, but then maybe they are poor because they are disabled. But then we should provide equal opportunities for everyone so that everyone can receive a chance to come out of poverty and to help in any way we can. And you can also do the slight things, the little things also help. Because if you provide food for someone per day, he or she might actually get strength, energy to go out look for a job. Because how can you say someone will be just malnourished and just so sick and then be lying on the streets? Yes, people pass by and they say, oh, this person is just lazy, this person is this person is that. But then the person is actually really sick, he or she is ill and has no strength and energy to continue with their daily life. So we should be able to help others in the slightest ways and as much as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Lois, for your presentation. I liked how you talked about the financial states in Ghana and how people that are poor should be given equal opportunities to be able to get back on their feet. Next, may we please have Chukwumbaka.
My name is Chukwuebuka Emowa. I'm 10 years old. I'm from College School, Lagos, Nigeria. In today's event, I would like to talk briefly on poverty. Poverty is the state or condition when a person has little or no money to provide for themselves, and government Poverty can be defined as a state or condition in which a person or community lacks the financial resources essential for a minimum standard of living. Essentially, poverty refers to lacking enough resources to provide the necessities of life, that is, food, clean water, shelter, and clothing. But in today's world, that can be extended to include access to healthcare, education, and even transportation. According to Nelson Mandela, overcoming poverty is an act of justice. Overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity, it is an act of justice. It is the protection of a fundamental human right, the right to dignity and a decent life. Let's take a look at some causes of poverty in Africa. Firstly, inadequate access to clean water and nutritious food. If a person doesn't get enough food, they simply don't have the strength and energy needed to work. Lack of access to food and clean water can lead to preventive illnesses. Of course, we know health is wealth. Secondly, poor education system. Unfortunately, some Africans' education system isn't coined in a way that will reduce poverty in Africa. Yes, because most schools don't teach students skills that will help them make money during their job hunting period. Number three, lack of infrastructure, such as good roads, bridges, wells, cables for light, cell phones, and internet, can isolate communities living in rural areas. Therefore, preventing movement to school, work, or markets to buy and sell goods. Number four, poor government policies and limited capacity. Government policies play a significant role in increasing the poverty rate in Africa. For instance, many people living in the United States are familiar with the social welfare programs that people can access if they need healthcare or food assistance. But not every government can provide this type of help to its citizens. So all of these mentioned can lead to extreme poverty. There are a few ways poverty can be eradicated in Africa. Firstly, government should encourage health workers by paying them well and providing quality health tools. Secondly, Africans' high school and tertiary institutions should have workshops where students will be actively involved in skill acquisition. This will help them develop a skill they can explore when it is difficult to get a job immediately after graduation. Thirdly, number three, there should be improved access to water, sanitation, and hygiene. Number four, increased child protection. For example, preventing early marriage. Number five, lastly, an effective way to reduce poverty in Africa is by strengthening the livelihoods and financial security of families. Thank you.
Thank you for thank you for your presentation. I really liked how you quoted Nelson Mandela, and you also showed us how health is well. Next, may we please have Maya. Okay, Maya's not here, so next can we have Panzini? Is Panzini here? Okay, can we have Treasure Good Luck?
Good day, everyone. My name is Treasure Goodlucky Pearl. I'm from Deeper Life High School. I'm 13 years. I'm 13 years old, and I'll be talking on poverty. Firstly, what is poverty? Poverty is not having enough to cover your needs and having to worry about what is happening now, what will happen tomorrow, and the likes. The causes of poverty are, we have various causes of poverty, such as lacking good economy, no education, no jobs, and the rest. Poverty affects different people's lifestyle by preventing them from getting a great education, healthy lives, and access to healthcare, therefore not letting them get better paying jobs. Poverty enables people not to have enough food or resources to maintain their family, with causing hunger and making some easily preventable diseases, to easily get or acquire diseases. Children that have sorry about that. Moving on to solutions to poverty, many think that fundraisers and donating food is the way to go. But if we want to help the poor out, we need to teach them something that will last in their whole lives. We need to help teach them how to grow crops, teach those who have no education. We need to orientate them on how to acquire money and fend for themselves. We need to raise awareness. So now, there is poverty on every inhabited continent, but it is less pronounced in Western Europe, Canada, and more developed countries. While here in Africa, we know that poverty is prominent. Poverty isn't something you can get rid of so easily. So in order to get rid of poverty completely, we must solve at least 50% to 75% of the world's problem, because poverty is the cause of other problems. For example, the cause of hunger is because of poverty. At the pace we are through, we need to figure out how to decrease poverty in developing countries. If poverty were to change in a good way, physically, the world will become more peaceful and unified. So we need to work on helping others around us and the likes. This poverty is a global issue because it's happening everywhere in the world, no matter what. There is a problem. Because of poverty, we have problem with education, employment, and a huge amount of disease infections. we need to provide concrete and long-lasting solutions to poverty so I'll go to how to help. We can, to help in decreasing poverty, we can contact a nearby organization that focuses on poverty and volunteer. We can also gather friends or classmates and go out and help reach out to people. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasure. Good luck for your presentation. I like your points, how you pointed out that poverty is also a cause to other problems. Next, may we please have Arslan? Is Arslan here? Okay, has anybody been left out? Has everybody had their chance to speak?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
since everybody's had their chance to speak, may we please, I'm going to ask you guys some questions about poverty. And if you want to answer the question, feel free to raise your hand. Okay, so the first question is it possible to make poverty disappear? So may we please have Genevieve?
Okay, to answer your question, poverty can't be totally eradicated, but can be shrunk. That's why we plan to work hard to make it so small that no one even notices that poverty exists. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Genevieve. Next, can we have Haruna?
Poverty is a worldwide problem. Poverty is a worldwide problem. It can't be totally eradicated. Our job is like to shrink the main body into smaller parts, making it hard to notice in our everyday surrounding. Like as it is in Africa, it is very much noticeable. So it can't be totally defeated, but we're just trying to make it invisible.
Okay, thank you, Haruna. Is there anyone else who wants to contribute to this question? Okay, if there's no one else, the conclusion to that question is no, poverty cannot be completely eradicated because of how much it's spread. Okay. The next question is, what kind of poverty exists in your country? You may raise up your hand to answer the question. Yes, Emua.
Well, the type of poverty in Nigeria is unemployment, corruption, income inequality, laziness, and poor education system.
Thank you, Emua. Is there anyone else who wants to contribute on that question? Yes, Haruna.
The kind of poverty that is in Nigeria, but nobody notices, is the kind of poverty and corruption that is in all our hearts. If all we citizens continue to act unpatriotic, like I don't stay in Nigeria, Nigeria is bad, Nigeria will never go anywhere, and people still be in poverty. Nobody notices this, but people are still suffering for these reactions and decisions.
Okay, thank you, Haruna. Next, can we please have Masimba Taimu? Masimba, you're muted.
In Zimbabwe, I think it's generational poverty because some people, they're born into poverty and they're raised in it.
May you please say that again? It was cutting.
Okay. I think in Zimbabwe, generational poverty exists because it are raised in poverty, and that's all they know.
Okay, thank you, Masimba. And lastly, can we have Poyo Asenda?
Thank you. My country is Ghana, and in Ghana, poverty is increasingly concentrated in rural areas, farming regions, where most families they depend on cocoa farming, making batik tapestries, and other things. And cocoa is the largest export crop in Ghana. And given its growing global demand, it holds significant potential for lifting many families out of poverty. And that in Ghana, a child is 40% more likely to live in poverty than an adult, which shows high signs of generational poverty, which is people growing up in poverty and never getting to know what sort of life they could live. Overcrowding and homelessness is also rampant. According to Habitat for Humanity, many houses in Ghana lack ventilation and basic social amenities. In more rural areas, outbreaks of cholera are common from lack of inside toilets in homes. And the poorest district in Ghana is the Nkwanta North District in the OT region, with 79.7% poverty, which is twice the national figure of 29.9%. In Ghana, our poverty is not just a problem, it is an attitude and a way of life which people do not really wish to break out of as they are stuck in their ways. This can be gotten rid of through determination and willingness to have education, as most poor families work many hours a day just to make ends meet. So encouraging children to go to school may decrease the amount of money the family makes, making the family poorer for now. As to the child working the farm directly may help them more. So we must find incentives to give them for poverty.
Okay, thank you, Poyo Asenda. And our last question is, what do you think living below the poverty line is like? Yes, Alana. You're muted.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I think it is the worst thing everybody can experience because you never know where your next meal will come from.
Yes, okay, thank you, Alana. Next, can we have Anissa?
I think living in the poverty line, over the poverty line is hard because people will be unemployed and you also don't know when people are gonna give you things or like when you're gonna get your next meal, like what Alana said. But that's all I think, because living in poverty is tough by itself.
Okay, thank you, Anissa. Next, can we have Masimba?
I think living below the poverty line is horrible because people will look down upon you as if you're a peasant and you'll be dehumanized. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Masimba. Next, can we have Matiba?
I think living below the poverty line is very terrible and painful because at one point you have to go a day or even weeks without having a proper meal.
Okay, thank you, Matiba. Next, can we have Genevieve?
I think the feeling of poverty is like the feeling of total despair when you stretch your hand but your hero doesn't save you. It's like a living dead social stigma. I think that's what living below the poverty line is like.
Thank you, Genevieve. Next, can we have Treasure Good Luck?
Well, I think living below the poverty line is a state of desperation because one won't be able to access the basic necessities of life.
Genevieve, you're muted. Okay, next, can we have Hoyo Asenda?
Thank you very much. Living beneath the poverty line is a challenge, as those who live beneath the poverty line face discrimination, maltreatment, and suffering. They struggle to see where the next meal is coming from. They struggle to get clean water and warm meals, which is essential for human life. Being below the poverty line is not just physical health, but also mental health as well. Those who live in poverty are less likely to be successful as they do not have the proper education and they have grown up in hopelessness and a state of desolation. Thank you.
Thank you, Hoyo Asenda. Next, can we have Haruna?
Living below the poverty line is like when you're just walking in total darkness. You don't know when your next meal is. And those living in poverty line, death is always chasing after them because no person can survive without food or water. Have you ever thought of how they feel? This is a question for you guys. What will you do if you guys just lost all your house, your money, and you barely have any clothes? How do you feel? That's my view on living below the poverty line. It's a very horrible thing to be in. That's why I always pity and try to do charity as much.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you everyone for your presentations, which have informed us on poverty in Africa and also worldwide. I think our presentation has come to an end, and I'm going to hand it back over to Dr. Teddy